Well, that was weird. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So glad you could make it. My name is Dustin. Thank you again for being here. This is Sunday morning coffee with me, Keto. Simple. For some reason, the intro did not play as I would like it to, but here we are, almost a minute into the stream, and I am hanging out with you guys. Good morning. Thank you all so very much. Truly appreciate all of you. I am bringing up information as we speak because as always, I have things prepared. Allegedly. Good morning. One of the things that I did want to talk about today, and I've been seeing quite a bit about this all over, especially if you're someone on Twitter like myself. Um, a lot of talk about SNAP benefits. Now, if you're not familiar with what SNAP benefits are, those are like food stamps, government assistance for those who can't afford to buy food. Now, there's been talks about removing the ability to purchase sugary sodas, snack foods, junk food, that type of thing from SNAP benefits. And I'm not a person that agrees with that overreach. Now, I understand that that's a divisive thing for me to say, that I do not agree that people should not be allowed to buy those things. I look at it like this: we should be focusing on education. We If we have education in place, people will then know why they shouldn't purchase those things, why they shouldn't give them to their children, instead of just putting something in place that says, well, now you can't, without a why, without them understanding. We have to understand that we've been indoctrinated for the last 100 plus grains are healthy. We should be eating 12 to 13 servings of grains a day, fruit, all these things. And, fat is the enemy, and sugar is just, empty calories and not necessarily something to be truly worried about because fat makes you fat. And then we're going to out of nowhere go and say, well, you know what? Now you can't buy sugary sodas and all these things that you've been purchasing since when I was a kid. I grew up impoverished. My mother was on food stamps, and this is nothing that we haven't talked about before, but realistically, I remember going to Aldi, I remember going to Kroger, and I remember buying things with food stamps when it was a booklet, not a card. Now it's like a debit card, but when I was a kid, it was like a book of stamps or book of money esque type things, and we would go sometimes. My mom would allow us to buy candy with those and things like that. So maybe it's that nostalgia. Maybe it's that growing up, we were able to have chips and things like that. It made us feel normal. I also see people complaining that they shouldn't be allowed to buy steak with their food stamps. How dare they eat steak when I can't afford steak and they're buying it with my taxes. They're using my tax money to buy steak and I can't afford to buy steak. Therein lies the problem. The problem for me is once you start telling somebody what they can or can't purchase based on nutritional value with their food stamps or SNAP benefits, who's to say that they're going to say, well, you know, red meat isn't healthy. Maybe you can buy some chicken. You can buy a few pounds of chicken a week. You can buy maybe some pork, but you can't buy red meat. And, you definitely can't buy real butter. You have to only buy margarine. You only can buy Cetos. You can't buy tallow with the food stamps. That's unhealthy. Why would we let you buy unhealthy things with your food stamps? Once the precedent is set on what is and what is not healthy as far as your benefits are concerned, where does it truly stop? Where does it stop? Because yes, it's easy to cheerlead and say, yes, we kids shouldn't be drinking soda because we know that kids shouldn't be drinking soda. We know that kids shouldn't be having sugary cereals. We know this. But is it our place to tell a parent that what they can and can't feed their child? Or is it better for us to implement education, information that they can use to make the best choices that they can for their own child? I just don't see the idea that we are the ones who should tell the less fortunate what they can and can't purchase with the benefits that they receive. And I imagine some of you out there are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. I've seen people say, my tax dollar's my choice. Well, okay. But is it your choice? Should you get to rule over the less fortunate by telling them what they can and can't eat, regardless of how healthy or unhealthy it might be? Because, again, where does it end? With that, let me have a drink of this coffee here because I have not yet had any real substance today, no coffee, and I need it. And I need to say hello to you guys this morning because we're looking quite behind here because Evelyn said hello to us 39 minutes ago. And with that, good morning, Evelyn. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you so very much, Evelyn. Evelyn, I should say. Shander got me this book. Uh oh. Early Valentine's present. Shander got me this early Valentine's Day present. What would Skeletor do? It's a nice, thick little book. I can't wait to read it, dig into it. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to attempt to put it back where you can see it because things have fallen off and I don't want to make everything fall off. Okay? United Carnivores in the house. Good morning, sir. I'm guessing there's a comment here that I'm not seeing, so I'm not quite sure what's going on because Evelyn said hello to United Carnivore before United Carnivore said hello, at least as far as I could find in the comments here. John Gugahan is here. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Gugahan. Jerry is in the house. Good morning, Jerry. Jeff is in the house. Good morning, Jeff. How are you? People are saying hello. Mr. Carnivore is saying, congratulations on 6K. So, again, we announced it a little early because typically with YouTube, and what YouTube tries to do is you'll be at, like for me, I was at 5,990 subscribers for a while. And then all of a sudden it jumped right up to like 6,002. And then it was 6,000. And then it was 59.99, then 59.98. And then now I think we're at somewhere like 6,014. So I typically try to keep that a little closer to the vest, just for the fact that YouTube likes to backtrack. It's just what YouTube does. Andy is here. Good morning, my dear. Again, I apologize that I slept through your live yesterday. I need to remember that Saturdays, like to me, for so long, Saturdays were either my lives or sleeping. And so, you know, and I got Shander out the door and I was like, oh, our room was cool because it was hot all night because it got to be like 80 degrees here Friday or Thursday or whatever. Friday, it was really warm. So when we went to bed, it was real hot in our room because we haven't turned the air conditioning on yet. I had just finally turned the emergency heating off. So I just put it regular heat for 62, and it just got hot in our room. And then I opened the window, and it was like windy and the storms. And I went downstairs and had to put the car in the garage because we didn't want the lease to get all jacked up by a storm. You know how it is. You know how this goes. But thank you. Thank you so much. And I apologize again. I will try not to miss it anymore. Jerry says, my blue star is back. Again, YouTube does weird things, and I apologize for that. But thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a member. It's still there. Semi retired Bob is in the house. Good morning, Bob. Thank you for being here. He says, good morning from Fairborn, Ohio. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you again so very much. Sean Bradley's in the house. Good morning, Mr. Bradley. Thank you so very much. And Jerry says it comes and goes on my end. And it's just what YouTube does, unfortunately. I see your conundrum. Yeah, look at this. Let's see. Do these show up? Yes. You can see the emojis. Yes. Cindy is here. Cindy's here, so let's give let's give some balloons for. So Stacy says, I think it needs to be I say good morning. Personally, I think it needs to be run like the WIC program. Only certain foods are covered. They can purchase the other stuff with their own money. Well, and again, I understand this, and my main concern is, and I imagine I'm not the only one who's been approached by somebody in the grocery store asking if you are paying in cash. Are you buying your groceries in cash today? And you're like, well, random stranger, why would you ask? I'm probably going to be using my debit card or my credit card. And they go, okay, well, thanks again. So, what they're doing is they're trying to convert their food stamps to cash. So, if we do something like WIC, because WIC is very specialized. WIC is something that we were on when we were kids, and that was something that you could buy. You could still buy cereal, you could buy milk, you can buy formula. But we get King Vitamin. It didn't matter. Realistically, it doesn't matter what brand of cereal you eat because there's not a huge difference between cereals. Like Honey Bunches of Oats versus Fruit Loops, they're basically the exact same. So when you look at something like WIC, WIC is very, very oriented towards children. So that is something that goes specifically for children. You don't buy steak with WIC. You don't buy anything like that. You're just buying milk. I think it's milk and cereals and that type of stuff with WIC. I don't think WIC has a very specific type of things that you can buy. Now, food stamps should be used for food. And I understand that. SNAP program, SNAP benefits. Now, the reason why that I am pretty much against the idea is, again, it sets a terrible precedent. It sets a precedent of what you can and can't buy that is or isn't healthy. Because let's take a quick look back at WIC. You can buy formula, which is trash. You can buy cereal, which is trash. Formula for babies, it starts off with no fat milk. Then they add in high fructose corn syrup. And they add in canola or seed oils because kids need fat, but they don't need saturated fat. They need healthy seed oil fat. Because when our daughter was in the process of trying to find a formula for our granddaughter because she was having issues with producing enough for her, we went down a rabbit hole trying to find something that didn't have all of that nasty stuff in it. And really there's only like one brand but that's by prescription only. You have to go and get a prescription from your doctor to get a formula that's not made with all that trash. And then you go and you look at the prices that they're asking for that trash. Basically, it's powdered milk, high fructose corn syrup, and vegetable oil. And that's what we're feeding our babies. And nobody's talking about that either. That should be something that RFK Jr. should be screaming from the rooftops. But we're worried about SNAP benefits at this point, which boggles my mind. And I've gone back and forth with Dr. Barry on this because I don't agree with him. I don't agree with Dr. Barry here. And again, like I said, we're all gonna have differing opinions, and that's fine. But I have a differing opinion, and I have a reason for that. I don't think it's a good precedent to set. I don't think we should be, changing and telling people what they can or can't buy with their benefits because I think in the long run, children are going to suffer from those things because people are going to still want those things, and they're going to sell their food stamps to buy those things, and kids aren't going to get healthier food. The kids will suffer. Kids already probably do suffer in those households, but I'm not going to go in because this is not a political show. This is not something that we talk about. Maybe I will look at doing a private thing where we can get more political. But then typically when you start getting into politics and feelings get hurt and people become less friends. And that's not what I want to do here. My thing in here is growth, growing a community and not dividing it. But I figured this is something that I kept seeing and I wanted to discuss it at least a little bit because it is something that is important to me. And it is something that has me screaming at my phone because I just want to make sure that we're doing the right things for the kids because we say we're doing that for the kids. We say we're taking them, we're going to make it where the families can't buy the sugary drinks for the kids. They can't buy the cereals for the kids. But if they have WIC, they can buy cereal for the kids. So really what are we doing? We're starting our children off at infancy with some of the worst ingredients possible, and then they're going into childhood and going into schools where they're getting the worst ingredients possible, and then they're going home and getting the worst ingredients possible. Now, I understand that we are trying to impact that and we are trying to change the paradigm. That paradigm shift is going to take a few decades at the least, I would imagine. Like it or not, we didn't get here in a decade. We didn't get to where we are in a decade. We got here over the last 150 years. And this cruise ship isn't going to turn around all that fast. We can make little changes. We can get struggling places like Steak and Shake to switch to beef tallow, but then they're kind of not being truly honest with what their fries are flash fried in. Their fries are flash fried in seed oils. Now, will they change that? Have they had time to change that? No, they haven't had time to change that because the company that they buy the fries from has to change. So you're getting one company to demand another company to change. And if you've ever listened to Chris talk about his dealings with vendors and companies making keto chow and salty, you have to be willing to demand and drag your feet and stomp your feet and make sure they do what you want because they prioritize profits over everything else, over their own workers, over the food that they produce. As long as the food isn't inherently dangerous and causing, sickness at consumption, I don't think they rightfully care. So, anyway, let's get back to some of these comments. Rick is here, Mr. Quack himself. Darkwing Duck, let's get dangerous. Welcome, Rick. Central bankers are the real enemy. Maybe, maybe. I think it's a concerted effort. It's not just any particular place. Everyone's saying hello to everyone. Hello, everyone. I should say it. Yes. Yeah, Evelyn said, interesting. United Carnivore received first, but their post isn't showing. Yeah, it just happens sometimes. I mean, realistically, the issue that we have here is WIC and SNAP and all these programs are in place, but yet we're still teaching kids, we're still teaching parents, we're still pushing guidelines that are antiquated, and we obviously know they aren't the best for our kids. They aren't the best for our families. But here we are. Then we're gonna want to take one benefit and we're gonna want to change it, which goes again. And I'm not, and I understand we're trying to change the guidelines, but how do you change something that goes against the guidelines? Because people are gonna look at that and go, well, the guidelines say that everything I was buying was perfectly fine. Why are you telling me that it's not? The dissent, the distrust, isn't that what we're trying to avoid here? Like do 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 YouTube Twilight Zone. Welcome, welcome. Everybody hit the like button. Rick says, I haven't used heat here in over 30 years. It's because you live on the sun, Rick. Andy says, it's totally okay. If I remember to text you with a problem I have other ways of contacting you. You know I love you. I love you too. Yes. Mr. Googahan had to take a shower. He was quite stinky, too stinky to hang out with us today. Balloons. Look at Cindy saying hello to people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Jerry says here, the grocery store trips used to be a weight lifting feat for me, lugging home the cases of soda. Sometimes I still buy sodas. Typically anymore it's a 20 ounce and I'm not buying a bunch of them like I used to. But sometimes, just sometimes, you have some. Mm. Who's got their coffee? Who's got their coffee? Mm. I love coffee. Yes, see Rick though, but you're in like the 0.001% of people who think this. On a grand scale, most people think duck food is the real food. And Stace says anyone caught selling them should be banned from getting assistance. Well, then who does that hurt? Does that hurt the person selling them or hurt their kids? I mean, we have to look at this on a grand scale. We have to look at this, I mean, these benefits are in place to help the families. And even still, these families are going through their benefits, but they probably still have their cases of beer. They probably still have their cartons of cigarettes. But who doesn't have food? The children. How do we handle that? We got to make sure that if this programs are truly to benefit children, how do we ensure their benefit? How do we ensure that we're not jacking them up in the process? Jerry says, I personally need a coffee and a CO2 cartridge for bubble water and whipped cream. I love bubbled up salty. That sounds delicious too. And Brian says there's not a reason anyone should consume those sugary drinks. I understand. There's no reason that we shouldn't be drinking those. But far be it from me to tell anybody that they can't. Whether you should or shouldn't is a big difference from you can't. I don't want someone telling me what to do. I don't want someone telling me you can't do this. You can't buy that. You can't do that outside of Chandra, okay? She tells me what I can and can't do, you know, because it's our money. But the government should never be able to tell us what we can or can't do as far as food is concerned. They could tell food manufacturers what they can or can't do, but they should never be able to tell the consumers what they can or can't do. They should give us guidelines. Here's what you should do. Here's what you ought to do. But they should never, ever, under any circumstances, tell us what we can't do because we are a free society and the government should never hold that much power over us, benefits or not. Never buy any liquid from any store. Well, yeah, I mean, you have to sometimes. Not everybody lives like you, Rick. Not everybody drinks rainwater and eats iguanas. Good day, everyone. Good to catch you live again. Hope you're doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for being here again. I appreciate you so very much. Woo! Look who's here. Lindy's here. Good morning, friends. Hey, friends. Lindy, Paleo Barbie does keto. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, I also drink a 12 pack a day. See, that's the thing is, you know, we all had our vices. I still have vices. Andy said, "Remind me. Text you about creating an overlay for my live stream, customizable with EV Mux." Yeah. So, if you want to take a look at this, I'll pull this back. So, the background that moves is two different parts. So, the back part, so I went and I found this loop of kind of looks kind of like a film strip type thing, but it didn't fit, so I had to go into my video editing software and edit it. I slowed it down because it was kind of fast, so I slowed it down, and then I uploaded it. And then there's a orange tint that I put into it utilizing EV Mux. I have a new logo here. If you like that, it's a new coffee logo. I may put that on a shirt. We may see how that goes. uh Sunday morning coffee crew. If you guys are interested in that, obviously I put the overlay down here, the keto simple.shop, and the Keto Simple logo cocked at 7 degrees, -7 degrees. That is so anytime you see my logo on screen, it's always at it's -7 degrees. I don't know why. Just make sure it's uniformity for me. In a perfect world, you know what I mean? But who's gonna catch you? I mean, is the person you are asking gonna turn you in? I mean, I'm not a snitch. Karen is here. Low carb spin. Good morning. Boy, I need a coffee IV stat. 100%. Looking through these comments and everybody's taking or talking to each other. Free choice is not a gift, it's a right. We fought for that right and we have it. It's not a gift. It's a struggle because they're trying to take it from us at every step of the path. Massive self-editing happening on this keyboard right now. I appreciate that. I understand that we're not going to agree on everything, but it's still a very important topic to discuss. Sean says, I have my blueberry crumble coffee with 3 pats of butter and a cocoa loco. Mmm, so good. Mmm, chicka chicka, wow, wow. Rick says, I have no vices. Imagine you probably do somewhere along the way. May not be food vices, but you know. Evelyn says, getting our coffee now. Toasted marshmallow from a local coffee roaster. That sounds delicious. Well, I mean, depending, because sometimes marshmallow flavor is not so good. And Sean's asking, has anyone bought the 2K coffee yet? That is so awesome. I hope they do well. Like I look at this like I've seen bigger creators than them tried it, but so I watch a financial channel and he tried to start his own coffee brand and it lasted maybe 2 years and he's got millions of subscribers and it still failed. So I wish them luck and I hope that it does well. I just hope they're not fully financially backing this project. I don't know the details of what they're going through, but coffee is a hell of a business to get into. And hopefully they are kind of just the spokespeople for it more so. But it's pretty awesome that they're doing it. And I wish them luck, but I've just seen bigger creators fail at trying to do it. So everybody cross your fingers, buy some if you can, help support them. Hopefully it will work out for them. All right, Jeffrey Cox is here. Good morning, Mr. Cox. It says, morning, Dustin. Taking sugar out of Snap is like taking metformin for diabetes. It's a band aid, not a cure. I agree. I don't want government making laws about food, especially based on the pyramids. My thing is, we don't have any legitimate, compelling, meaningful standard for food consumptions in this country. So, what I mean by that is, we are. Uh, we don't have anything that we can definitively go, this is healthy, this is not. And if we don't have that, how can we go in and ban things that we think are unhealthy? Now, we are the minority. Our community is a minority of a minority of a minority. We are a very small yet loud group. But even still, we're still trying to figure out things for ourselves. And we are in a community that understands that we all have different goals. We all have different issues. We're all trying to implement them in different ways by utilizing this community to support ourselves, to support each other, to make sure that we're all on a healthy track. Some of you can have some sweets, some of you can't. Some of you can eat keto sweets, some of you can't. Some of you can have bacon and some of you can't. So we understand that the dietary needs of the individual are not set in stone. Now, we also understand that primarily sticking with a proper human diet, as far as we understand the proper human diet in our community, is probably the most effective for the most people. But again, what we understand as the proper human diet is not what the US government looks at as the proper human diet. So we are pushing for regulations and we are pushing for things that the government even hasn't even signed off on yet. They don't recognize it. Yeah, sure. With someone like Robert, RFK Jr., he's saying things like steak and eggs and da 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 and go carnivore or whatever. But we also don't know what he's saying behind closed doors. We know what he's saying publicly in a tweet, but we don't know what deals are being made behind closed doors. We can give him the benefit of the doubt that he's doing exactly what he said he's going to do, but he's a politician. So we don't really know. And the idea that we are coming at, these benefits for the people who need the most help, we're trying to sweep the leg, make it more difficult for them in the guise of making them healthy. And that just doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't sound like a good thing to do for them. We're trying to help them. We need to try to educate them, not just snip what they can or can't buy with their benefits because they don't understand why. Because we're trying to push guidelines or we're trying to push, a way of eating on somebody who doesn't even understand why what they're eating is inherently bad for them. Because we're trying to push an agenda that's not even recognized by our own government yet. It's like we're putting the cart before the horse. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of ground to cover before we should be looking at this. That's kind of where I'm at. I was like, yes, I understand that no kid should be eating snack cakes for breakfast or cereal for breakfast or drinking sodas. I agree with you 1,000 million trillion percent. But there's a better way to go about this. There has to be a better way because doing it this way is not really going to fix the problem. It's just going to cause what people say is if, trading out your SNAP benefits for cash is fraud, you're just going to cause fraud to go up. So inherently creating more criminals. I don't want the government telling me what kind of guns I can own. I don't want them telling me what kind of food I can buy. What do you want the government to tell you? Probably less than I want them to tell me. Because we know they've been telling us what's healthy for 150 years and we see how that goes. I don't know. I just kind of see like we should be working on the education like we're doing here. That's like, with the Keto Crusade and, these weekly lives and our channels and the videos that we make and the vlogs and the posts and everything that we do is really here to spread a message of our journeys of what works for us. Hopefully we're able to shed a little light to somebody who may be looking for it, who doesn't know what they need to know. Because you don't know what you don't know. And I think really banning things like that and making it to where you can't is very counterproductive. You're going to get people who don't care anymore. They're not going to listen to you if you just take it away from them. You ensure by making sure they can't buy. Just take away their benefits altogether. I guess. I'm not sure what you're trying to say here, but and I'm gonna, you know, I just kind of look at the like this. Like we should be educating the public. We can't even agree if meat's healthy. We can't because there's people meat is healthy, meat is going to give you cancer. We can't even agree on that. If we can't simply agree across the board what is and what isn't healthy for the majority of the people, how are we telling the people what they should and shouldn't eat? Because if you can't get the population to agree, how are you going to start setting those standards and telling them what they can or can't buy based on what you say is healthy? Because who are you? Who am I? I'm just a guy on the internet. You're not wrong. Andy says, that's cool. I need to learn those things to make it stand out a little bit more than just a girl trying to do something as a creator. I'm waffling in the wind and it's depressing. We'll talk later. Yeah, I'll help you set it all up. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, cocaine's not food. Cocaine isn't sold in the grocery store. But I imagine there's people selling their SNAP benefits to buy cocaine, you know? Yeah. I'm pretty kind of shocked to it. So it's got to be something else, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Sean, that's what I'm drinking too, but cheap coffee, butter, Coco Loco. Brian Doyle says I'm walking away to get some more coffee. Well, enjoy, my friend. Brian says, "Good morning. I had issues when attempting to watch when started. It's all fixed now." And Jeffrey is saying, "Agreed. We have those standards. The government definitely does not. They just need to stay out of the food regulation process." I think that, I mean, that's really, I mean, when it comes down to is they need to be involved in regulations of food manufacturing. I don't know who should have their hands in what we should or shouldn't eat. I think it should be up to us. We always talk about we need to make decisions with our own wallets. How do we do that? With our own autonomy. We make the decisions for ourselves. And then we want to stand back and go, well, you're on our government assistance, so you can't, so you have to listen to what we say. And that just bothers me. It's like you're going to give them benefits, but then you're going to give them all these stipulations to use those benefits. Then why give them the benefits in the first place? Evelyn says, "I wouldn't want a vegan telling me what I could buy, so I don't think we should be setting the ideas of government control for everyone." And that's just realistically what it comes down to. Because after this administration is done and we have a new administration and say they get their own version of RFK Jr. and they're a vegan and they want to start pushing their vegan agenda or whatever you want to say, and they're like, now we need to reverse that whole beef tallow thing and we got to get them back to seed oils or whatever. It's the ebb and flow. It's just the way that it works. Andy is saying that 2KK is backing a coffee brand that is already established. The flavors and name were formed to support both 2KK and the already profitable company. Okay, yeah. So a collaboration makes more sense. I'm just glad they weren't involved from the ground up because that's a very risky proposition. More good mornings to people. And I don't necessarily know how much I truly believe this. And I know that there's there's definitely some nefarious players in here, but the system is designed to extract wealth. Health is wealth, therefore they do not want you healthy. So I don't know who they are. And I love conspiracy theories. I love them. I love them a lot. And I enjoy them, but I don't necessarily think everything is a conspiracy. I think this is a perfect storm that has kind of happened over the last 150 years of just maximizing profits. I don't necessarily think they want people to be sick. I think the people who truly are in this want people like, I don't think doctors want people sick. I don't think nurses want people sick. I don't think the average person working for these corporations want people sick because they're probably suffering from the same thing. You figure the CEO of General Mills is probably a diabetic and probably has issues. I don't know who they are, but they're probably on metformin. So they're probably susceptible to the same things. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I'm just kind of calling out just a random cereal company or a company that makes cereal and probably figured they're probably not the most healthy either. So it just you know what I mean? Like, and then all the pharmaceutical companies, how many pharmaceuticals are they on? The CEOs and the COOs and all these people. I don't know. Sean says, yesterday at Sam's, every single handicapped space was full. Handicapped people were making their space at front of the store. People are unhealthy. If everyone is handicapped, then no one will be. We'll see the rest of that. I was at Sam's yesterday as well. That's another thing that I want to talk about. Maybe let's shift gears here a little bit. It seems some people are not too thrilled with this topic, and I understand it is a divisive topic, and I try not to be divisive here, but it was just something that I kept seeing, and I just wanted to let my opinion be known. But one thing I found, Sean, is I was at Sam's Club yesterday, which worst time to go, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday is a terrible time to go. But the one thing about Sam's Club that I do like is I can scan and go. I can scan I had 8 items. I scanned my 8 items and I walked out the door. People were waiting in line, long, long lines. I don't understand why they were waiting in long lines when you could just scan and go. Every single person had a phone in their pocket. I would imagine most people had a phone in their pocket. They were making announcements over the PA saying, "Hey, use the app. You can scan and go." I wish Costco had scan and go, but that's not the thing that I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was the cream. So Costco has their Members Mark brand, and their Members Mark heavy whipping cream in 32-ounce containers is 4.98. So less than $5. So Walmart sells their great value heavy cream for almost $6. It's like five, at least five and change. So Sam's Club is cheaper, but the major difference with Sam's Club that I noticed is it does not contain carrageenan. It does have gallon gum in it, which is the same thing that the Horizon brand that I buy from Costco has, and it is 64 ounces for $15. So realistically, I could get an extra 32 ounces for what I'm buying at Costco. But the question that Shannon and I were talking about yesterday is that product alone worth us keeping the membership, the $50 membership a year? I don't know yet. I told her what we'll do is we will continue to buy the cream without the carrageenan, see if we notice any meaningful impact to anything that we do, because I have the Horizon stuff and I have the Members Mark stuff, and we'll talk about it and we'll see if there's any meaningful difference. If we notice any meaningful differences. Because I mean, yeah, we didn't mean to have this Sam's Club membership still. I thought I'd canceled it, but it kept auto paying, so here we are. Jerry is saying, my thought process is far too many shenanigans has gone on in the government, and fixing the overall system is going to take time. Nothing happens overnight. I agree. And I don't think that anything's going to happen to anything anytime soon. It's just the fact that we're debating it and people are argumentative about it. And I just had one to say, I've had my thoughts on it. And I mean, if I have, that's why I have a channel, so I can air my thoughts on something. And, Evelyn says, I work in a school. The propaganda that is pushed to us as healthy is so wrong. We got one this month, Eat the Rainbow, had a bingo card of nutrition, but I couldn't win in any direction because, yeah, I can only imagine. Cindy says, I will just stay that girl waffling in the wind trying to get my story out there. That's what we want. And Evelyn said, every option had sugar. Now, Rick says, I'm against any food or drink that comes from somewhere other than where you live. Well, my thing is that doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody lives in a situation like you. Not everybody has the advantages that you have. And I know that a lot of times you kind of see some of that stuff as a disadvantage, but I, you know what I mean? Lindy says, educate them, but I think maybe they should come up with some kind of bonus or reward system for purchasing whole foods because they are not taking junk away, just giving them incentives. Yeah, I think that that's the thing to look at as well. Like, okay, because you think of like people who don't want them to eat steak. How dare you buy steak with your SNAP benefits? I don't get to eat steak. Steak's expensive. Yeah, steak's expensive. Like Costco and Sam's, their ribeye steaks are $15 a pound. They used to be like $11 a pound. And I mean, when you eat pounds and pounds of steak a week, those dollars add up. But could they take those SNAP benefits and truly make a difference in themselves if they just knew how? Because I mean, you can take things away, but that doesn't mean they're going to be eating better. They can still buy Kraft mac and cheese, and they can buy instant mashed potatoes and the instant packs of gravy, and they're going to still be buying the Swanson microwavable dinners, and they're going to be buying things that aren't really any better. So it's kind of like, how do we truly make meaningful, impactful changes without education? I don't think you can. I think education is the true key here. Let's see. Stacy says here, instead of cash value at a store, maybe they need to have more food banks where they can pick up what is available. Having volunteered at them, you won't find soda pop candy. That's not necessarily true. My stepdad is a volunteer at a food bank. He works there like 4 or 5 days a week for free. They just give him food, and they have all kinds of stuff. It just depends on what's donated. Now, they most areas probably aren't donating soda, but they donate so much stuff, and then they're donating ramen noodles. They're donating shelf stable foods that aren't really any better than the cereals and such. So we have to look at this as education truly has to be the key, because if we don't teach people what's right and what's wrong or what they should or shouldn't eat, you can take away whatever you want, but that's not going to fix the problem. Education's key, but then again, if we're going to educate people, we've got to get it in order across the board, because we've got vegan propaganda, we've got carnivore propaganda, we've got, whatever the cereal companies are pushing out there, the sugar companies, all these people are pushing out their own agendas. Until we can wade through that muck, how are we telling anybody anything? Jeffrey says, I don't want them telling me I can't buy steak, so I can't ask them to tell others not to buy sugar. And I mean, we should want people to not buy these things. I don't want them to buy them. I want them to eat as healthy as they possibly can. I mean, that's why I do this channel, right? I put out information how to spend your money wisely. How do you buy vegetables so they don't go bad right away? Because that was something that we always did. So we buy frozen vegetables. If we're going to have vegetables, sometimes I just really want broccoli, but I might really want broccoli and buy a fresh thing of broccoli. And then by the time I get around to cooking it, it's not good anymore. So, you teach people, you don't always have to like, I mean, what's going to teach somebody to buy ground beef if they're buying ground beef from Walmart that's got stuff mixed into it? There's such a learning curve with all of this, and just cutting something off doesn't eliminate that learning curve. You can't just say eat healthy, because what does that even mean? There's an unlimited number of channels on this platform that are trying to define what healthy is. What's healthy to me? What's healthy to you? We can't just tell somebody, well, eat healthy and expect them to do it, because we haven't even fully defined it yet. We're still in the trenches trying to hammer out what is and what isn't healthy. Let's see, what does need to be done? Term limits, no more lobbying, look insurance and big pharma to control. Yeah, I mean, these are all this is everything that we want is going to take decades and decades. Even just like, like the idea, like, okay, so one thing that I've noticed is like Steak and Shake has come out. Steak and Shake's one of the most vocal companies right now on X or Twitter about seed oils. Okay. So when it comes to they're talking about, okay, we've replaced our fryers with beef tallow. Okay, good start. But nothing they're frying in it is healthy. So you're taking a healthy oil and then frying unhealthy stuff in it. But how long does that take to change? Takes a while. Now they're talking about removing all of their butter, their fake butter, and replacing it with Wisconsin butter. That's going to still take about another month to implement. You know, the one thing is they just almost went out of business. So I think they are doing this tallow and butter stuff at a grasping at straws, trying to attract a group of people to come eat at their locations because they're struggling. Now, does that mean that they're doing it just for that reason? Maybe. Is it still beneficial? Sure. And then people are upset because, they're frying their french fries that are par fried in vegetable oil. But again, I don't see there being any quick fixes to our food supply. Our food supply is so entrenched. Go to the grocery store. If you're an average person, how do you go to the grocery store and buy anything without seed oils in it? They are in everything. They're in your bread. They're in your sauces, your dressings. They're in so much stuff. They're in your coffee creamers. They're in anything and everything. The average person has no idea how infiltrated seed oils are in their daily food supply. They have zero understanding. Most people look at the argument of removing seed oils and think it's a funny thing to talk about. You talk to somebody outside of our community about seed oils, and it's like trying to talk to the teenager about doing the dishes. They don't care. They have no desire to listen to you. Or talk to your teenager about like when you were cool in high school. You know what I mean? They don't care. So we do kind of get caught in our own echo chamber. Slowly but surely, we are growing. Slowly but surely, we're adding new subscribers, we're adding new people into the fold, but it's a very time, it's just not very fast, but it is progress. But then I think we get so encapsulated with our own community that we don't realize that we're a fraction of the community at large outside of us. They don't care about seed oils. They're not concerned with sugar. They're not concerned, you know, anything. I think the majority. I think if you polled people on the street, if you went to a giant city and you polled people on the street and you asked them what's the worst thing that people could be buying with their SNAP benefits, I imagine people would probably be saying meat because meat's expensive. Meat's dangerous. And because we're looking at the broader sense of humanity, the broader sense of society. So I think with this thing, it's like I'm trying not to argue and fight and all that stuff here because that doesn't benefit us. I just want this place to be where we can share ideas. And hopefully people don't want to be told what to do. Because I don't want to be told what to do, and I don't want to tell others what to do either. My life is easier if I don't have to tell our teenagers to do the dishes. My life is easier if they just know they need to be done and do them on their own, or the laundry, or whatever the case is, because we've got kids living with us again. So far, I don't really have to tell them anything. I can ask them a couple of things here and there. Hey, when you get back, can you take out the trash? Usually gets done. Amy is here. Hi, everyone. I'm lying in bed, really sick. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. Just hanging back listening today, but I'm here. I finally got the crud. Well, I am so sorry about that, Amy. Well, I hope that you do feel better soon, my dear. And everyone's saying hello to everybody still. Here we go. Wishbone83, thank you for being here. Been on keto, now carnivore for 9 months, down 108 pounds. That's, yes. Yes, yes, that's so good. We need 2. Fantastic, Wishbone. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's what we need. We need the positivity. Thank you, Wishbone. So Brian's saying that RFK is not a politician, but that's the whole point. Well, I know he did a lot of good things with the EPA and he cleaned up the East River and he's done a lot of things. But it's hard to be someone, it's hard to trust people when they are in with the people that you're not too big of fans of. And he says things that I'm not a big fan of. I like his stance on meat and I like his stance on, trying to cut sugar and that kind of stuff, but I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. And that's okay. I don't have to agree with everything he says. But my thing is when you're in with politicians, you're probably going to be playing the politician game. You have to play the politician game. There's no way around it. So we'll have to just wait and see how he handles things. Yeah, scan and go is the way. It is the way. Let's see. Let's see. People are talking. Sonny's in the house. Good morning, Sonny. She says, good morning, Dustin. Jerry says, made in the USA for as much as possible, but coffee. I mean, we don't really grow coffee in this country. I don't think this country is climate suitable to grow coffee. That's just something that it's just going to be what it is. I don't, we wouldn't be able to grow our own coffee. So we have to import coffee. And I mean, I'm not even against importing things because countries make things better than we can in certain aspects. We make better things. I mean, there's just, we are a world economy and we need to be leveraging that world economy. We all need to be doing and playing to our strengths. But also, we found during the pandemic that we are not doing the best job. So we need to tighten that up a little bit. But I mean, that's as political as I'm going to get there because that's a whole other rabbit hole that I am just not prepared to go down because I don't know enough. Rick says, I am too much of an oddball to get anyone to listen to me. No one has yet come up to me saying they saw me from YouTube. I mean, only from meetups. I don't get random people coming to me in public because I'm not a giant creator. But the thing is you are an oddball. That's fine because you are showcasing that you can live on a lifestyle for a good long time and still maintain health, you know? So I think you serve a purpose, Rick, but you are a weirdo. And that's fine because I'm a weirdo too. Sean says, Dustin, everyone has thoughts on certain things. Everyone has different life experiences driving those thoughts. We value and cherish your opinions, even if we disagree. And that's why it's so difficult. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, I don't want everybody to agree with me. I don't want everyone to think the same as me. That's boring. We don't move the needle doing that. We don't move the needle if everybody thinks the same. And I'm not trying, I don't dislike people for having differing opinions from me. That's fine. Sonny says, interesting topic this morning. I agree. It's just been something I've been seeing for the last like 2 weeks, and I've been tweeting about it, and I figured, you know what? Why not talk about it? So here we are. I think it's going about as good as you can expect. Meat healthy instead of eat healthy. Yeah. This is the thing. I was like, we can't even get our food labels to tell us the truth. I mean, like, I pick up the big tubes of beef from Walmart. It doesn't even have an ingredients list on it. The ingredients on the fresh meat at Walmart says that it's beef and natural flavors, or whatever the wording is, not necessarily natural flavors or whatever, but food labeling is very deceptive. I mean, if you have to make YouTube videos and YouTube content to help the average person understand what they're looking at, the food label isn't correct. Where I mean, I understand that there is some standards. There's a variance, measurements and things, but it should be a little bit. There shouldn't be a 20% variance on food labels. It shouldn't be 20%. Maybe 2%. Maybe, I don't know. But I think that a 20% variance, at least in the United States, I don't know how it is. So I want to say that JN1K is in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. But everything you eat has ingredients because, I mean, you could break it down and you can make it look like a chemical project if you broke it down to what it's actually made of. So everything has an ingredients list. It's just not, they're just not stuck to the outside of the iguana. And Carl's trying to troll some more. Fast food is means it was hard to catch. Fast food to me means it was hard to catch, and I was cooking it on the engine at 65. Oh my goodness, you're crazy. You get a new subscriber every day. That is phenomenal, though. That's still growth, Rick. You're still growing. JJ's in the house. Good morning. And Brian's asking, Dustin, why are seed oils and carbs, sugar, and everything big business and commercials? Our government also has input on what's being done again because of lobbyists and politicians. I think realistically, because of the guidelines that we have, everything is kind of. I mean, there is an in cahoots type thing, but I don't necessarily think it's as nefarious as we think it is. I think it's they're doing stuff that's worse than they thought they would that it would be. I think it started with Ansel Keys, started with Procter and Gamble. And I think over the years, it's just gotten out of control and nobody knows how to stop it now. But I mean, how do we fix it? By doing this. You and me talking and putting this into putting the information out there for the 80 people that are watching right now. You know, it starts off small. I used to be 40 people. Now it's 80 people. People listening, interacting, talking, learning, discussing, sharing. All these things are vital to getting this information out. But it has to be organic. It has to be word of mouth because I don't know if we trust our doctors and our people enough like our great grandparents did. Because, like I've talked about, my great grandparents, they did everything the doctors and everybody told them to do. They switched butter for margarine. They were eating cereal. They were using Sweet and Low and Equal and all these things, and they were eating, they were eating their bread, but they were eating thin slices of bread. They were trying to cut their cholesterol. They were on cholesterol medications. They were drinking Slim Fast. They were doing all the things that they were told to do to be healthy. They listened to their doctors. They listened to the system. They listened and they did what they were told to do. And it didn't work out. So we have to figure out what is best. But I still don't think it's our place to tell anyone that they need to do anything. Keith is sorry he's late. Well, don't let it happen again, mister. I'll tell the warden. But she's probably still asleep anyway, so what does that matter, right? People saying hello, hello, hello. What are we talking about? Boys and their toys? I don't even know what you're talking about. There he is. Chris Cook in Nashville's in the house. Good morning, my friend. If you haven't had a chance after this stream, make sure after, go over to his channel. He dropped a killer new recipe yesterday for some biscuits, carnivore biscuits and gravy, carnivore breakfast sandwiches. He said breakfast style sandwiches. So they're not actually breakfast, but they're in the style of breakfast. I was teasing about that yesterday. Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. They look delicious. I don't have all the ingredients to make them, but I am looking forward to them. And I asked him if he could, but how do they chaffle? How do they go in a waffle maker? Crispy waffles that are like biscuits. Oh, my nose is itchy. Everybody's saying good morning to Chris and Ash and Mel. Hopefully their coffee is delicious this morning. And Jerry says, they say money talks and BS walks. Why did I don't know, leave big money gig, podcasting career to go to Washington doing a government job should not make people rich? I'm not sure what that's about. He says, I know a gal who's on food stamps, and she sometimes takes a pal to the store with her to buy her groceries in exchange for food and alcohol or booze and alcohol. And I've known people that get so many food stamps a month that they would not be able to spend them all. And they would take friends and stuff to buy stuff to get them groceries, you know? And then at the same time, like my grandmother couldn't even get food stamps. She was on, she was in her 80s, had an apartment, and I was paying most of the bills, but they didn't know that. And so she was trying to get a little bit of food stamps. They wouldn't even give her any. I think maybe they ended up giving her like $40 in food stamps or something like that. She was making $800 a month off of Social Security. Supposed to live off of that. With everything going on now, I don't think she could have survived with the increase in prices. Like our kids were renting a house and it went up $500 from last year to this year. They had to move out. I mean, that's why we've got two boys living with us. Just because everything went sky high. People saying good morning to Chris on my way to work. Let's see. Stacy says one thing that I've noticed is that some who follow the proper human diet, but then there are stuffing themselves to gluttony. Is that really better? Yes, I eat till full, but 3 plates with sideboards. Well, my thing is it doesn't really matter what you're eating if you haven't resolved your food addiction issues. I came into this with ridiculous food addiction. I was massively food addicted and I'm still struggling with that to this day. Even when I started a ketogenic diet, I was packing a lunch for 3 people because I knew that if I got hungry and didn't have any of the things that I needed to eat, it would be harder for me to maintain with things in the office. There was always cake and there was always this, that, and the other, candy all over the place. Always bringing stuff in. Offices are dangerous environments for somebody who's trying to change their eating habits. So I brought enough food for like 3 people. Lunch meat, cheese sticks, mozzarella sticks, like string cheese, pepperonis. I brought pecans and little things of butter to dip the pecans in. I was drinking again, like I said, I was drinking 1,000 calorie coffee every day. I was doing everything in my power to ensure my own success because even though I wasn't fully aware of my food addiction, I knew how much I liked to eat. And I thought, I'm going to eat the right foods as much as I can to balance out and make sure I don't eat the bad foods. But if you don't try and work on who you are on the inside, don't try to get to know who you are on the inside, then you're not going to be able to work on those food addiction issues because you really have to start working on those. They're not just going to go away. Now, mine got easier to manage. The longer I was on a proper human diet, the longer we did keto, the easier managing my food addictions became whatever the proper word is there. But I think I got lucky with that because I didn't truly understand the depth of my food addiction until many years later. Even I'm still learning to this day, and we're over 9 years into this thing. So I see that kind of thing happening with people, and I feel bad for them because I know they've got a long journey ahead of them. Because it's not that people aren't doing that necessarily by choice. And it may seem like it's choice on the outside. Because I used to go out when I was eating regular food and I would go out with my friends and we'd go get dinner and then we would go and get ice cream and then I would sit there and I'd have my ice cream, but I still felt like they were looking at me like, why is the fat guy got ice cream? Why he shouldn't be eating ice cream? And that was in my own head. They probably didn't even think anything about it. They were eating ice cream too. But I think, dealing with this and dealing with food addiction and dealing with the idea that stress truly triggers food addiction. Because I get stressed out, like somebody like funerals and deaths and things like that. Truly, that throws me a curveball. Sometimes I'm able to navigate it and stay good, and sometimes I can't. But I do the best I can because I'm a real person. Now, I understand my situation better than most, I think, because I've put a lot of effort into understanding who I am and what really makes me tick. And I'm slowly finding out more and more things about myself and realize it's stress induced, it's irritation induced, because it's a pacification system too. Finding the foods you want to eat is a pacification, and even the right foods sometimes can cause that. Or it could be you could go to the wrong foods. Sometimes I'll eat just because. I try not to. And I know that when I'm eating the cleanest as I possibly can, those things happen fewer and farther between. But I'm not a perfect person. And I know that that still happens to me and I still stray from time to time. And that's again why I'm here to share my experiences, to share my journey, because my journey isn't linear. My journey isn't start, success, finish. There is no finish. There's only improvement. Never done. Not done until there's a eulogy. But, Mr. Doyle O'Brien says Tuesday is the 3-year anniversary of my heart attack. I wish someone would have cut off my access to cigarettes before I almost died. That's just a hard thing to do, though, because I wanted to quit smoking. I tried a couple of times half heartedly. I went through a situation where, my grandmother had part of her lung removed because of smoking. She smoked my entire life until she had that lung surgery. And then I was still smoking like a dum dum. I was like, I knew it wasn't right to continue smoking, but I did for like 3 years because she had her lung surgery in 2007. I didn't quit smoking until 2010. And I would feel bad because she'd sneak puffs of my cigarette. Now, thankfully, I didn't have, any major issues to cause me to quit smoking. I just decided one day it was time to give it up. But it's one of those things, like, I don't think anybody can tell you to give it up. There's nobody compelling enough to give it up. Just say, "Hey, you need to give this up." And maybe if they come to you talking through a trach or something like that, but even that, because you're usually so entrenched that you can't see the benefit of what they're trying to say. It's like me being 400 pounds and people go, "Oh, you're fat." That didn't do anything. Or you should lose weight. That didn't do anything for me because I knew what I needed to do. I didn't know how, but I knew I needed to do something, but I just didn't know what. I tried all kinds of things. Funny enough, and I don't know if I've actually ever talked about this on camera or not, but when I was working at the warehouse, which was like 98 through 2007, I worked at this warehouse. So just after graduating high school until I was like 28 years old, I worked at this warehouse. And there was a point in time where I was losing weight. And not just because I was up and moving and doing things and working in a warehouse. But then I started thinking back about how I was eating when I was working there. And I would have lunch 8:30 because sometimes we went to lunch at 8, sometimes I went to lunch at 8:30, just really depending on what line I was working, what department I was in, what the schedule was, and were we going second, first or second to lunch because we'd always usually have to cover. They didn't like shutting the whole place down for lunch for half an hour. So I uh I was eating at 8:30. I had my lunch, which was at the time a lot of this little pasta stuff. It was like this garlicky pasta stuff and like some buttered bread, maybe some peanut butter and butter sandwiches, something like that. And I don't remember if I was drinking diet soda at the time or regular soda. I don't remember. But then I would eat again when I got home, usually about 1 to 2 in the morning. And then I wouldn't eat again until 8 o'clock at night, 8:30. So I was inadvertently intermittent fasting. And I did that for months. Didn't realize that I would go home and I was making myself boil and bag rice and I was baking tilapia. I was trying to be a little more conscious of what I was eating. So I was eating the boil and bag rice. I was making 2 bags of boil and bag rice with a lot of seasoning, a lot of spice in it. And I was spicing up my tilapia. I was eating like 4 or 5 pieces of tilapia. And I mean, I have no idea what kind of calories that was. I don't even remember if I was putting butter in it or not. I was covering it with water. Probably putting margarine in it. And then I was eating that. I was eating that with fish and rice a lot. It was cheap. It was easy to make, and I was like, "Well, this is healthy for me. It's a good start." But I wasn't really doing it necessarily for weight loss. I was just trying to eat better. But I think what was really helping me was the intermittent fasting, which I didn't even realize at the time because I don't even know if it was, sure it was a term, but in like the mid 2000s, who knew about that? Like early 2000s, we had Atkins, and I thought that was crazy. I remember going to Denny's and people were like, "Oh, just give me the steak." They were eating like T-bone steaks or whatever from Denny's, and they were like, "Yeah, that's all we're gonna eat is the meat." I'm like, "Well, that's a heart attack." You know what I mean? So that's what we thought. That was the information we were given. And I mean, there was even rumors that they were taking medications to keep their cholesterol low, so they could eat all the meat they wanted, but their cholesterol wouldn't kill them. And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, yeah." They were losing weight, but they didn't want to die from. I mean, it was just so crazy the things that we've had over the years. Laws kind of are meant to be broken sometimes. Some laws are just and some laws aren't. Some laws are just put in place to create revenue. Oh, it's Karen Harrington. Good morning, Karen. I missed you. There, I'm sorry. There we go. Good morning, Karen. Thank you for being here. Yes, and JN1K is from Australia. Fantastic. I am remembering things. Okay, Jay. All right, Jay. It's easy to say. Okay, Jay. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. And Brian says, I buy single ingredient foods for the most part, and that's how you get rid of it. Yes, I understand that. You understand that. But 98% of of our country has no idea. And how do we teach them that? With education. We have to teach them. But again, we get back to the thing is like, there's no authority over any of this stuff. Nobody has all the answers. He says, it's also crazy to try to teach folks what's healthy here in the US when there's so many ingredients. Let's see, we are that are banned in other countries due to not eating. Yeah, I mean, it's just we're in a situation. We're trying to dig ourselves out of a hole that's just filling in, but we're trying to dig ourselves out of quicksand. Is really what we're trying to do. People putting Rick's channel up, good. Make sure that everybody that needs their channel put up, let us know so we can put your channel up. That's what we want to do. Andy says, since I started keto carnivore 3 years ago, I know I can roll around the floor with the granddaughter and not ache anymore. I'm exhausted, but I don't hurt. I still have a hard time getting off the floor. I don't know. Chris Chris says, if if instead of complaining about someone else's solution, we just go be the solution and inspire others to change, the world will change for the better. I agree. Because I think me putting it out there, you putting it out there, all of you putting it out there that what you're doing to make a difference for yourself, not 99.99% of the people aren't going to eat like Rick. And even Rick understands that. Rick is an anomaly. The average person who's eating just steak every day is not going to be what the bulk 99% of the population is going to do. The population isn't going to do that. I mean, if we can get them just to eat whole foods, potatoes, rice, whatever, meat, eggs, vegetables, we'll be better off. But even doing that is a difficult proposition. Not even getting keto carnivore on in the conversation. The idea that removing seed oils is controversial is insane. Brian says doctors only told them what they learned in med school. Lies my doctor told me and the lies I was taught in med school. Money talks. And I mean it's true. But I don't, but you can't necessarily blame the doctors, you know what I mean? Like the doctors, they're just going based on what they were taught. They don't necessarily know what's wrong. Brenda's making biscuits this morning. All right. Good morning, Brenda. Evelyn's making hush puppies. Yeah, in the style of breakfast. Everyone knows being politically correct is my strong suit. I just thought it was funny. It's not breakfast. It's the style of breakfast. It's in the style. It's breakfast adjacent. Oh my goodness. I miss my great grandmother used to make me hush puppies all the time. Oh, I miss them. And Cindy, she made biscuits last night. They're good. And Sean says, we are here because we were at a point in our lives where we said enough is enough We were tired of being unhealthy. We needed to do something, and thankfully, we did what worked and now spread the word. Yeah, mine is kind of serendipitous, to be honest with you. We were talking about going low carb because we were like, okay, low carb is going to help us, but we didn't know what it was. I had a doctor go, well, if you want to lose weight, you got to be in ketosis. And I've been searching recipes and things like that and kept coming across this ketosis recipes, the keto recipes for epileptic children. So all the pieces started to tumble into place, and I was like, I was really getting into podcasts. So again, I've told a million times, I searched podcasts and found two keto dudes, and here we are. And Rick says, I don't see eating 5 to 6 pounds of meat a day as gluttony. I don't if you are somebody who's legitimately working out. I don't know. I don't think I could eat that much, to be honest with you. But what do I know? And JJ says, saw in a YouTube video that the median income housing cost in Philadelphia, let's see, so the income went from 40,000 to 80, like 40,000 into an $80,000 house to 60,000 into a $250,000 house, respectively. That's crazy. It's just, and I understand that we are a society of single family homes. I was talking with Shannon the other day about something. I was like, could we, in theory, find a home with enough bedrooms and enough space for our kids, grandkid, and everybody to live with us, to where we weren't stacked on top of each other, like people weren't sharing rooms. Like our girl could have her own room, I could have an office. She had room for her eBay business. Everybody, like there were garages and places to park, and a decent enough size house with enough bathrooms that everybody was comfortable. And if everybody paid to live there like they were paying their own mortgage, would it be possible? Like, could you get, like a 7 bedroom, 8 bath house and be able to afford it with, you know, all the incomes, all the adult incomes? Could you afford that? Would you want that? Would you want to live in that? Would it, even having enough space, would it be something that you'd want to do? Because I know that, like, our youngest boys are going to stay in their rooms most of the time, just come out to eat. Granddaughter's going to run the house. There's going to be people, there's going to be like a room for watching TV, and people are going to watch stuff that I don't want to watch. Like when we all lived here during the beginning of the pandemic, we had our downstairs TV. We have a TV in our room, but they took over the TV downstairs. So I just watched TV upstairs. So we just kind of all disappeared to our little corners. And that was that. That was fine. But we still got together downstairs, but you just want to not be around people all the time. But I was just wondering, is like, would that even be possible? Would it even be feasible? Looking at like the cost of houses, like you're going out in the middle of nowhere, you can get a house big enough for like 700,000. But if you want to be close to where we are now, you're talking a couple $1 million. Andy said, we went to bingo last night and brought carnivore snacks, including cream cheese stuffed ham slices. Save, let's see, didn't eat the junk and cookies other people's offered. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Always working to ensure your own success. Like if you're going to a family function and you know that they're going to have a lot of things that may be triggering for you, take things or eat before you go. You have to look out for yourself. I fall into those traps sometimes. We go to family functions and I'm like, oh, that looks good. I'm going to have a bite of that. Sometimes a bite's all I need, and sometimes I have two plates. I'm not, it's just the way it is. I try to make sure and try to set myself up for success on every occasion, but that's not always possible. But I like that idea, Andy. Well, yeah, I mean, but they think they're doing the right thing. I've worked in offices where they brought in bagels every other week. They're just bagels, like just hundreds of bagels on every floor. Ridiculous. Evelyn says, I'm broken because a friend came to me wanting keto help 2 weeks ago. I gathered a bunch of stuff together for her. I couldn't reach her, contacted her daughter, and she'd been placed in hospice. Too late. Oh my goodness. I'm very sorry, Evelyn. Uh, it's rough. Really is. And just don't forget, you can reach out anytime you need to talk to somebody. I'm always here. Stacy says, "I agree. I agree about food addiction. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a video that I'm going to make is because I kind of feel like there's a consensus out there that I see of people thinking that people are fat on purpose. Like you're fat and you don't want to do anything about it. And I think even those people that put on that persona, we're looking at the body positivity models and we're looking at, there's women like Tess Holiday and such out there, and they put up this front that, they're fine and they're happy and they're healthy just the way they are. I think it's a mask. I think it's it's a smoke show because you got to understand that when you were the size, like when I was my biggest, I wasn't necessarily worried too much about it. I mean, you are worried, but like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. But then I think they kind of get painted into a corner because they're in a niche, or like maybe they are a model and they are now typecast because if they were to lose weight, then they're no longer that plus size model. And if they have lost all that weight from being so large, they're going to be not anybody that anybody wants to work with anymore. You don't see a lot of loose skin models out there. I think we should see more. We should celebrate that. We should celebrate somebody taking control of their life and making better choices and making their life healthy again. And all of that comes with it. Loose skin be damned. I just think, there's just so much of that out there that, I don't think anybody really wants to be fat. I just think we get caught up in something and then we kind of can't back out. Because then when they do talk about going on a diet, people are like, how dare you? You're fat shaming. What are you talking about? I want to lose weight. How dare you? Keith is talking about here. I still have issues with portion control. Hungry Keith is not just a clever name. I still overload my plate and find I do more push away than I do pushaways. Yeah, yeah. I think for me, finding the if I can find a way to give stop eating when I'm done. Like when my body's like, "Hey, bud, you're done." If I can stop, then I'm a lot better off than if I stop when the bowl's empty. Sometimes those correlate, sometimes they don't, and I overeat. Sometimes, I mean, it's a true struggle. And Jerry says that when someone at work wanted to do proper human diet, I was elated when they asked me to help, so I brought them food for a week until they said they couldn't eat that way anymore. Oh my goodness. It's it's a difficult transition to make. As I remember being in my office at my desk and I was eating low carb And I didn't know what keto flu was. I didn't know that. And I remember one day I felt so like drained and I just felt so like so it's got to be the point where like I've exhausted all the sugars in my body, but I haven't started quite yet being able to like take full use of the fat, right? And I had a full sugar like Rockstar energy drink in my desk. And I remember I was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was just foggy and it was just really overbearing. And I drank that Rockstar. I felt better and I was like, okay. But then I kept pushing through. I kept pushing through and I made it. I got through. So, it's just one of those things like it's so difficult. Those transitions and that lifestyle switch, those lifestyle transitions are difficult. And I think sometimes we get too flippant about, oh, they just gave up. Oh, they just gave up. They didn't have the willpower. They weren't able to do it. But we forget how hard it can be. Sometimes it's a smooth transition. Sometimes, like with Chandra, it took her 6 months to make a transition and not be miserable. She only stuck with it because of me. She only stuck with it because she knew if she gave up, I would probably too. I kept pushing her along and keeping her going and giving her encouragement. But I think sometimes we do forget. We do forget that these lifestyle shifts are very difficult. And maybe that person didn't have anybody at home helping. You were making their food. What was happening at home? There's just a lot of these things that I'm not quite sure, how do we even understand that? Like, I don't know. Food addiction, I think, has probably been something that has probably been a thing our entire existence because of food scarcity. And then I think that's kind of like how we kind of evolved, probably food scarcity. And then we come across like in the fall time, coming up on winter, we would find in the summer, we would find berries and we would probably eat them till we made ourselves sick. I wasn't there, I'm not that old, but I imagine to be able to eat that much fructose to cause the liver to produce that much fat to sustain somebody through winter, that's a gluttonous kind of act. And I think that translates. I think there's a switch in the human body that's probably supposed to be cyclical to where, like when you have food, when you don't have food. There are times where I'm like thirsty and I can't get enough water. And then all of a sudden, like I think about it and I'm like, I've gone 12 hours without having anything to drink. I don't really know if that makes any sense, but and Jerry's saying you can't help anybody by doing it for them. Doing it or you know what I mean? But they have to want to. They wanted it enough to come and ask you about it. So they wanted it enough, you would figure that they at least had the initiative to start. And like, yeah, encouragement and they've got to be somebody on the other side at home too. If they live by themselves, it's difficult. If they had a spouse that was not doing the same thing, it's difficult. JJ, no, people will always think that won't happen to me. My wife is trying to quit smoking and it is a struggle. It's a super struggle to quit smoking cigarettes. I was totally ready to quit when I gave it up, and it was still difficult. I still dream about it 15 years later. 15 years, and I still dream about smoking cigarettes. He says, "You should lose weight." Oh, yeah? Well, you should be smarter. Yeah, 100%. I am really far behind today, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. And Cindy says, "All we can do is set examples. We cannot make people do anything they aren't ready to do. My family makes me crazy about it all, not to mention those at risk or those who ask, I'm sorry, those who ask for help, then don't do it. I've had so many people come to me in the past and say, I want to do what you do. Now, granted, I was going the long route and giving them a huge, long exposition instead of trying to keep it as simple as possible. Keep it simple. It's what I do now. But I'd go through all this thing. Like, yeah, I don't want to do that because it's a terrifying change. It's scary. You're giving up all the comfort you have, and for what? The promise that things will be better. It worked for him, but will it work for me? There's so many doubts. And I think we do get a little flippant. I think we do kind of see like how our community is the way that it is and we're able to do what we do and we don't realize that we're already really deep into this. There's not a lot of us in this chat right now that haven't been in it for a multitude of years. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If you're watching and you haven't been commenting, you're watching on X or on YouTube or Facebook, and you're just starting out, let us know. Let us know what your struggles are. Let us know what your fears are. Because I imagine that shifts over time and we can better help get that information out to help the newcomers where we kind of get lost in our own minutia and experience. Things that we know. There's a lot of things that you may have questions on and things that are that you're fearful of that we can help with. Or we not even, or we've kind of so far past it, we don't even think about that anymore. Carl says at restaurants and events, less than once a month, I overeat PhD in one sitting, but only one single meal. All their days are 2 meals a day. Eat meat, eggs, and minimal dairy. If I snack, it's meat and cheese. Yeah, I just be lurking the shadows. Let's see. Cindy, people ask me about how I lost 163 pounds and clear remember the fat, sick old me. And I bring it up and they're like, oh, I can't do that. Yeah. Evelyn says, had a cousin that asked me a million questions. I sent her everything to start keto, many hours of encouragement, etc. She then decided to go back to Weight Watchers and it didn't work. And my thing was something like Weight Watchers, because I had a coworker that I worked with for a good long time, and she was doing Weight Watchers, and she said, she would eat to the point where she had points left over at night. She had enough points that she could eat a whole sleeve of Thin Mints Girl Scout cookies. And I'm like, I don't think that that's really the way you should be playing this. I don't think that's the right way to do this. And I know the points have shifted over time. I think eggs are now 0 points. There's little bits and pieces that I pick up along the way because you see posts and you see people talking about it. But it's just one of those things like I've seen people find success from Weight Watchers, but it's almost always short-lived. Like they have success until they don't. And it happens in keto too. People have success on keto until they don't. I think there's a consistent change and there's a consistency thing that we need to get to. And that's why I mean I'm even the title of this live is, I'm working to continue doing triple B&E. I think it works good for me. It may not be the most exciting way to eat, but to me I feel my best. It limits my options to a degree, and I can still understand that I'm going to have days where family's in town. We're going to have a wedding again this year allegedly. There's birthdays and there's things. So I'm not going to be depriving myself. And I just think if I can just eat beef, eggs, bacon, and butter, along with my coffee and my cream, I'm going to be better. Mm. And I think the reason why things like Weight Watchers are so enticing is because it gives you that illusion that you can still eat all your favorite foods. You can still eat popcorn and work in thin mints to your diet. And I mean, I imagine you could probably do that to a degree with keto if you're doing, total carbs and you eat only meat and then you use your 50 total carbs that day or 30 total carbs or 20 total carbs and you eat your two Oreo cookies or whatever the case is, you know? Look at Rick, the good Samaritan, the philanthropist. He says, "You're right, Dustin. I understand I am an outlier. That's why I grow and distribute fruit free of charge." Well, that's fantastic. Try to scroll through some of these. I'm missing a bunch of I'm like way behind, like 20 minutes behind. So Whole 30 now allows seed oils? That's insane. Did they say why? Stacy says, "I'm working through the imposter syndrome in my class, suffering with it. I quit my weekly group. I keep bad mouthing my fat ass, trying to heal. Appointment next week with Dr. Cybus, labs done." Well, imposter syndrome is just a thing that happens. I have it. Almost every creator has it. Anybody who's in a public space probably has it because none of us truly think we're good enough. Unless you're like a narcissistic weirdo who's like, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me." But I mean, the reality is you are good enough. You aren't an imposter. You've shown that time and time again with your progress. So, I don't know if that helps. Probably not, because I know how I feel. And I've got so many amazing people in my corner. I have chats and I talk with Victor and Chris every day, and I get random chats from Andy and Evelyn and all these people that reach out to me on a daily, weekly basis, and we talk and we encourage each other. And like I said, I help Andy and I'm trying to help Sarah get her live together, and I'm working on some stuff for her. And all these people are just trying to make sure that everybody has what they need, because the better everybody is, the better we all are. I mean, so this is one of those things that I think about from time to time. It's like we all need to get back to our roots, hunt and farm, buy local from clean farmers and clean meats. I think we're so far removed that re-implementing this will probably take longer than my lifetime. It's a nice thing to think about, but I just don't think we're there. There we go. There we go. We've got links in the chat for Lindy and Stacy and Cindy. Carl hit the nail on the head here. So imposter syndrome sucks. The devil is a liar, just like the scale. One at a time, live the life and do the things. That's right. Thank you, Carl. Carnivore Jerry. We've got all these things in here. Hungry Heath. All right. Jeffrey says, "Dustin, that's what I did. Live with daughters and grandchildren in a big house. That's what most of the world does. Wouldn't have it any other way." I just kind of wonder, like, it's difficult because you want your own space, you want the peace and quiet, and when you do live in a house that's large, not a lot of peace and quiet. And it's got to be, it's got to be like I don't want to be in a situation where I don't have an office where I can do my lives. And I mean, if we had to, we would do what we had to do. If our kids needed to live here, they would live here, and I would give up my office. And they can have this as a bedroom or whatever they needed. I wouldn't be happy about it, but we would do it. But and he says, "I'm just sad that Shelly had to nearly die before we finally went keto." Yeah, I think that's just one of those things. Like, I mean, I probably wasn't too far off. I was going down the same path my mom did. She died in her 50s. She died at 59. You know, I'm so glad that you guys have found us and we've got a chance to meet. And if you haven't, if you don't follow Heath over on Facebook, his profile picture is one of legend. Go check it out. Let me see if I can share the screen, see if I can find it. All right, let me see if I can bring this up here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So if you haven't seen this picture yet, I just got to figure out how to make this work. My stream deck went back to the other thing, so hold on, let me see if I can find something here. Hmm. I haven't quite figured out how this works yet, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. I don't know how this works. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing up on the screen, why I can't get I share it. It says it's sharing. Oh, that's why. You can sort of see that there. All right. Cindy says here, no way. We got away from kids and grandkids living with us. Much better, just the two of us. Too much drama and sickness brought home with the work school. Yeah, I get that too. But like, I mean, if it, when a push comes to shove, family means a lot, and I would do anything to make sure that they weren't living on the streets and all that stuff. And really, if we had a nice enough house and big enough house, would it work? I mean, it would make sense. I don't know. Yeah, this is something that would also be kind of nice if we had enough property, just build like a barn dominium community that's all of ours. So like we have a big house with all the things that we need. I have a studio and things for her eBay, and we have like a barn dominium for the kids, different kids, and like the boys would live together in like a bunkhouse style thing. Because I mean, really, they just need a bed and a TV. You know. Jeffrey says, "I am not rich, paycheck to paycheck. We're all paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean?" Steven Stone is here. Thank you so much. Good morning from Corpus Christi, Texas. Jay says, I think YouTube has guided people to a healthier lifestyle more than most anything else. Information is so easy to find if you're curious enough to search it out. So, one thing that I've noticed too is it is easy to find information here on YouTube. The difficult thing is making sure you're getting the correct information. So, I was bummed at one point because I had made a couple of posts on the Keto Reddit, and both posts were deleted. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't need it anyway. But I was just it's another medium. Figured I would post, see what's going on. And then I started reading through it, and it's like it's weird how inundated keto on Reddit is inundated with calorie in, calorie out bros. The CICO crowd. It's crazy. If you ever get a chance, just go read through the Reddit thread from keto. Just on Reddit. There's just a keto thread on Reddit. It is insane how much it is calories in, calories out. Like, well, keto really only works because you're able to find satiety and you can do so with less calories. Okay. Okay. I didn't even bother. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Lenny says things will get interesting for us. My husband's company may be closing at the end of March. They can't get a backer. My budget will definitely be lower. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Good luck. I all the well wishes. Fingers crossed. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Yeah, and JJ's 100% here. Food addiction is a daily struggle. I struggle with it daily. I mean, obviously, you know, if you want your channel shared, just tag Evelyn or one of the other moderators. They'll be happy to help you out. But Evelyn is the one who's currently saying, hey, let me know. And Rick just doesn't understand duck food. I don't understand how anybody could prefer duck food to real food. You have been doing this since you were like 15, 16 years old. So, I mean, that's one of those things you have been living your life this way. So, you don't have the decades of inundation of the bad food like I did, like it is crazy to me that I'm not too big on fast food. I used to love fast food. I always want I mean, there's a couple of things that I want every once in a while. Drive down the road, like the main drag, and you're passing McDonald's, Wendy's, Arby's, you're passing Taco Bell, you're passing Cadoba, you're passing Chipotle, you're passing all these places that I used to, would like, oh yeah. I mean, we've got an Arnie's, we've got all this stuff. Great places to get pizza, just great food. There's artisan pizza place now. There's a brew burger. We've got like Thai places, just so many restaurants. And I just don't really care much for them until I do. But usually that's hopefully a plan thing. But the guinea pig is here. Everyone say hello to the guinea pig. Hello everyone just listening in the background. This is insane. I had a friend years ago who got fired for falling asleep at his desk. 2 days after being fired, he slipped into a diabetic coma and died. No one he worked with understood how sick he was. That's the thing. I remember sitting at my desk and I would be like the 1 to 2, 3 o'clock slump because I work till 6. I work from 9 to 6 with an hour lunch in the middle. And I remember just like there's just days you're just kind of like, you're just dozing, like you fighting to keep your eyes open. So I'd be up trying to find stuff to shove in my face hole. Then I'd have to go to like for most of the time I was like going to visit my mom in the nursing home, going to the grocery store, coming home, cooking dinner for the kids, and all these things. And I'd be at the checkout line at the grocery store feeling, if you've ever been a diabetic, true diabetic, and you kind of get that low feeling, you just kind of know, like, oh, I need some sugar. So I just buy 2 candy bars and eat them in the car ride home. It was normal. And I wasn't low anymore. I had plenty of sugar in my body now. How times have changed. Even at my worst now, I'm still so much better than I ever was. I'm not out buying 2 candy bars every time I go there. I might buy a diet soda now, but I'm not buying 2 candy bars, 2 king size candy bars, mind you. Yeah, so I have sleep apnea still, but I don't sleep with my CPAP the way that I should. I really need to start doing that again. But yeah. Evelyn, I had a problem falling asleep at work for a long time. I told them I had a medical issue. I was just diagnosed with sleep apnea, thought keto would help. It has a little, but not all. Well, I think sleep apnea has a lot to do with like the size of your neck. And when you lay down, like how much does your neck and all that stuff close in on itself? When I was huge, like you can't really tell, but like, I'm a lot smaller in the neck area than I used to be. That's huge. You're just like, oh, I still have some, but not nearly like I used to. And Andy says, as I was just now making coffee, I had a mental checklist of what keto healed. I feel so much better knowing that I am eating right and it has things that were hurting. I've got Facebook making noises at me. Chandra sending me messages. She's working Friday next week again. Sean sent me a photo thing of Grogu. I'll look at that in a little bit. So, I won tickets to go see Aaron Belial, Heath Cordes, and Martin Phillips on Wednesday at the Comedy Club. I wanted to go to that show so bad, but tickets were just, I mean, they weren't expensive, but like we've been spending money on the kid and other stuff lately. We just didn't have the extra cash, but I entered to win and I won tickets. Super stoked because I love Aaron Belial. He's the guy, if you didn't know, he was on America's Got Talent last year or whatever. He was the comedian with the phone and he would talk through his phone like a speaker. He's hilarious. We've seen him once before. Heath Cordes is young. He's like in his 20s, but he looks like he's 8. And his debut on Kill Tony was probably one of the most prolific things I've ever seen from a young comedian. So if you guys aren't familiar with Kill Tony and you like comedy, raunchy, say anything, no holds barred comedy, that's a place for you. Now, you know, that's not for everybody, and I understand that. But I just want to say we're going to go see these 3 killers from Kill Tony. So they're all from Kill Tony. Pretty awesome. Jay is saying that cigarettes here in Australia are expensive. Marlboro 25 pack is around $46 US. How much would that be in the United States? So Marlboro, so they come in packs of 20 here, but they're probably, I don't know, $7 US, $7 to $8 US. I'm not sure. I haven't smoked in 15 years. When I quit smoking, they were coming up on $6 a pack. They haven't gone up that much, I don't guess. But they might be closer to, I don't know. I think they are about $8, I would say, here. Um, that's also relative because I know your guys like how much is a 24 pack of Budweiser there? We'll get to that in a while, but I know that like I think it's probably an American import. It's probably cheaper here just because they grow it here and they make it here. And that's one of the things that we do make here still with cigarettes. But smoking here has changed so much over the last decade. Vaping has took a bigger hold. More people vape, which is crazy, but the smoking is so much less. Like, there's no smoking sections anymore. You can't smoke anywhere except some outlier town bars will still allow smoking. Um, like if you're not in city, there you can still find some bars you can smoke in. It's still relatively a lot less, you know. Jerry said, Dustin, like you, I started with the two keto dudes. Where are they now? Well, Carl's still doing his coding and stuff. Richard went back to university and he's doing the university stuff. Trying to get like a master's or a doctorate in something like bioengineering type stuff. I had him on my on a podcast years ago. So I have a I do have I do have there's 11 podcasts in a what you call it? What do they call those? I'm losing my mind. Oh, let's see. What are those called? I'm totally losing my brain. In a playlist, I have a playlist, and he is one of the last ones that I did. So go check that out. I did talk with Richard Morris. He kind of goes into what he's doing and all that stuff. So if you're truly interested, there's that. But I mean, that was years ago, so I'm not sure what they're doing now. I'd like to see a two keto dudes reunion. That'd be a lot of fun. CPAP, if you are truly sleep apnea, will change your life. Sleep apnea, like with a CPAP, it's good, will change your life. You just get to where you don't realize how good of sleep you get with it. Like, oh, it's so good. They're not loud. I thought they were gonna be loud, but they're not. Like mine, you could barely even hear. That was pretty awesome. Still trying to figure out a few things here and there. As you said, my wife spends about $100 a month in cigarettes. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't think I spent that much. Maybe I was getting a pack every 2 to 3 days, so it was like $5 every couple of days. So I wasn't spending that much money, but I don't know. Yeah, Evelyn's told me this story before. She says, I started talking about my funeral before I found keto. I really had no hope to live another year. Keto got me thriving in my 50s. That's what I love to see. That's what I love to see. All right, let's see. What does this say here? Sean, Jack was 6 months into getting his Inspire on his apnea, and I did a Mayo rant video 2 days ago. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that's about. Let's see. Sean says, I got called into my manager's office one time for falling asleep. I asked him, were my feet propped up? Was my head resting on the back, or was I just slumped over? It wasn't intentional. He let it go. Sean's not wrong here. Look more like you're in your 30s. Keto strong. Yeah. Jay, that's crazy. And how okay, so even with this, Jay, with a week, $480 a week smoking, how many people still smoke? Karen's still here. Thank you so much. Evelyn with all the hearts. Hearts. They could go away a little better. They got That's weird. Brian says, Dustin, do you have Aldi near you? Yeah, we have like three that are about equidistant from us. I think they have let's see, I think the polysorbate 80 in the Sam's Club heavy cream may be assisting your digestive tract issue. Well, I just bought that Aldi. I just bought the Sam's Club heavy cream and I haven't even used it yet. So I don't know if I haven't really have any digestive issues too much. Paul McGrogan is in the house. Hey yo. Let's see. Thanks for the encouragement, Stacy. And let's see. Polysorbate 80 profoundly impacts intestinal microbiota in the manner that promote gut inflammation and associated with disease states. So I'm curious. I'm not sure. I haven't even tried it yet, so I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. Yeah, Carl's not wrong here with that. And JJ's talking about how his wife spends about an eighth of her social security check a month on cigarettes. The funny thing is quit smoking cigarettes, just spending about $5 to $6 every 2 to 3 days, into spending about the same amount of money on coffee at a coffee shop. So I really wasn't doing myself any real favors. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Did Lindy say she was leaving? All right. Have a good day. She's probably gone and not seeing this, but we love you and we're glad you were here. Thank you, Lindy. All right. Let's see. Brian said the same. Yeah, I mean, this is legitimate. Fast food isn't great food, but it's addicting food. But the weird thing is I don't really care about it most of the time. I know that we're probably in the near future, probably within the next few years, going to be getting Whataburger and In-N-Out Burger here, I imagine, because of the way that In-N-Out Burger is staging themselves in Tennessee, and we're not that far from Tennessee. So I imagine they're going to be spreading themselves on a 5 or 6 hour radius all the way around from themselves. So we'll see how that works. Or will I eat more fast food because it's In-N-Out Burger? I don't know. We shall see. I'll know I'll eat at least some. But it would be nice to know there's something out there that I could get that I really enjoy from time to time. Steven Stone says, I can relate to the diabetic lows and the 2 o'clock slump. I have dozed off driving home from work. Oh, I used to fight that so hard driving home. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad to not have that issue now. Well, this is crazy. So Evelyn's dad, it was a type 2 diabetic. He used to play with his sugars on purpose to make them bottom out and so he could eat a candy bar. That's crazy. Yeah, Cindy says that Brian has sleep apnea. No problem with the size of his neck. A lot of times, though, just the size of your neck can just, if you're laying in the wrong, like it just kind of collapses in on itself. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be other issues too. Like I've had my tonsils and adenoids and all that stuff taken out. So I don't really know what that all has to do with anything, but I'm just saying, like, I know when you're a big person, your neck and your tongue and all that stuff is like, it's like tries to suffocate yourself. But it's not the only case scenario or whatever. I was never diagnosed as a diabetic, because I didn't go to the doctor a lot. I mean, you don't get to be over 400 pounds and not be diabetic. I have no idea what my highest sugars were or um, what my highest A1C was. I do know the last A1C I had was like 5.4, so I'm in the good range. But I never went to the doctor. Like when you're that big, you just don't go to the doctor because they don't have good news for you. Like, you need to lose weight. I know that. So it's just one of those things. Trying to get through these comments because I'm like 20 minutes behind, 10 minutes behind. Adrian's here. Good morning, Adrian. Thank you for joining us, dear. Make sure that we get Adrian's channel put up there in the list so people can go and subscribe to her. All right, this is what I was trying to get to. Congratulations on 6K. Thank you so much, Evelyn. I appreciate you so very much. Oh, look at you got it even before I even asked. Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, JJ said he used to use one for years, but it got recalled. I didn't think I needed it anymore. And then after the doctor, he suggested doing another sleep study just to be sure. Probably a good plan. 24 pack of 24 pack of 330 mils, so that's about 12 ounces. 39.20 USD here. That's crazy. I think it's like $20 here. But again, they make it here. They make it like a state over for me. Sean, $10. Thank you so much. Dustin, thank you for covering things others won't. Thank you for being you. You rock. Well, I appreciate that very much. I try not to be controversial, but I just want to talk things out sometimes. Risa is here. She says, "Good morning, all. Late to the party, but just woke up. Haven't smoked since boyfriend screamed, 'I don't want you to die like my mom died.'" Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. JJ says they're buying, as she buys the cheap cigarettes like turnies. Ugh. The crazy thing is that a lot of our meat comes from near Australia. It comes from New Zealand. A lot of the meat that we eat comes from Australia and New Zealand. So you would think if they're shipping it across the oceans, it's got to be cheaper in Australia. But nothing's really cheap in Australia. People saying good morning to everyone. Let's see. A lot have moved over to black market cigarettes if they can find or roll your own. Yeah. That was one of those things like I started to try to roll my own, but they didn't hit the same. They were just I guess it was the chemicals that weren't in it that didn't make me want to smoke the same. I don't know. It was just different. Bride's Biscuit is in the house. Good morning. You think cigarettes are expensive today? Try buying steak and eggs. Yeah, I was at Sam's Club yesterday, and they had it was weird because their brown cage-free eggs were cheaper than their white cage-free eggs, like a significant amount. And then they had a 5 dozen box for like I want to say it was $38. I think it was a 5 dozen box for $38. I was like, that is insane. But 2 dozen, I think, were $10 of the brown eggs. Let's see. That's sad that the true part of life I didn't touch on Cindy's channel. Evelyn, I'll see you there. Yeah. Amy says, my sleep apnea is severe. I stop breathing 70 times a minute. I'm way thinner now and still have it, but suspect it's better. Oh, yeah. Every time the doctor says I need to lose weight, I'm like, yeah, duh, Captain Obvious. Cindy with a $5 super chat. Thank you for not picking on me today. Oh, we got like a half hour to go. Okay, we'll see what happens. But here, you get started. Hmm. People are asking Jay how much the meat is there. And he says I was in college. I think had maybe two puffs and a club in New York City in the early '80s. I was never addicted to them like my mom. Oh my goodness, yeah. You never know. I just might. So around 20 USD for rump and 30 USD for better cuts. So you're looking at about 10 to $15 a pound because we're talking about kilos here. So 2.2 pounds per 2.2 pounds is a kilo. So about a pound. So about 10 to $15 a pound. So not too far off from where we are. Rude. Rude. That's fine. I know you're just kidding. Jerry says Chaffles must have a gangbuster practice there to afford the meat. Chaffee. I'm not sure what's going on here. All right. I said chaffle. It's supposed to be chaffee. Okay. Andy says I just looked down the stakes of all the junk and tell myself saving, not buying. Steak aisle. Oh, the aisles. Okay. We are caught up. Oh my goodness. How did I do that? What's going on? That's why it didn't work. Oh my goodness. My intro didn't work because I had it turned off for some weird reason. So I haven't made a video yet about the giveaway that we're going to do for 6,000 subscribers. Again, we're going to be doing a giveaway. You know that we're giving away a 4 waffle maker by Dash. Yes, one of the good ones, the one that I was so graciously given 2 of at Christmas time. So I'm going to be giving one of those away because I don't need 2 of them. So we're going to be giving away a Dash waffle maker that makes 4 waffles at a time. And I'm going to be giving away a 30 count bag of salty, the assorted bag, a 30 bag of salty, and I'm going to be giving away a starter pack of keto chow and a couple of keto chow stickers. And maybe a couple of other things. We never know. You never know. Maybe a couple keto bricks. I've got some keto bricks maybe I give away. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We'll see what happens. We will see. Yes. Why? What, Evelyn? I don't know what's going on. What did I miss? I don't know what's going on. This is my show. I should know better. I should know what's going on, but I don't. So Andy's on a walk in her neighborhood while listening, and she sees so many flowers, so pretty. And Sean says, my doctor is still trying to push cholesterol meds. I told her that if the side effects are increased blood sugars, lowering good cholesterol, or increased blood pressure, no thank you. Yeah. I'm guessing this is about the flowers. I don't know what's happening. With extra peeps in your house, you may need the second Dash Mini. I doubt it. They won't eat that stuff. They're all carbivores. And they know what to do. They know that it works, but they won't do it. They won't do it. People are all in agreement. Muscle pain is a side effect of statins. Oh my goodness, that sounds terrible. I wonder if Chris is still here. Did Chris and Ash, did they fall asleep? Is Mel awake? Sherry is here. Good morning, Sherry. She says, "Good morning. I have been here since 5:30 a.m. lurking and listening." Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so very much. 39 of you watching here on Face or on the Tube of Views, and then 47 watching over on X. If you're watching on X, chat over here. Come over here and hang out with us. Let us know your story. Chris says, "We're here. Mel is never awake." Well, that's good, because Mel's a good girl. She said, Chris says, "Mel is so lazy. If she was more relaxed, she'd be in a coma." Well, she is a good pupper. She works hard at being a good pupper, and you know it. You could probably pull off CCN's waffles, though. They rock. Yeah, I don't think it does. If I'm cooking it, they're just not having it. They just like the most carby stuff. There we go. There's Jeremiah. Jeremiah's in the house. Good morning, friends, he says. I'm glad you're here, Jeremiah. How is the fam? Andy says, Susan's numbers came in from 7 to 8.3, and I just shook my head. Statins are the devil for someone who is afraid to ignore the doctors. My makes my job harder to help her. Well, it's so difficult though because the doctors are so sure. So I mean, so wouldn't have you shown her what Dr. Barry says about statins? Because I saw him not too long ago in person talking about statins. That statins of everybody who's taken statins, it gives you like if you take statins for an entire lifetime or whatever, it adds maybe 2 days to your life, 2 to 5 days for years and years and years and years of taking the drug. And Jeremiah says, "Doing well, getting ready for church. We'll have fun. You, the family, your wife, your kids. Enjoy yourself at church. Be safe. Be careful." Risa says, "Mel sounds like my Roxy and Zeppel. They sleep so much. Only move when hubby goes out." Oh, yeah. Barbara Castor is in the house. Good morning, Barbara. Thank you for being here. So sweet of you to join us. I just spent the last 10 minutes consoling my BC Jenna May. The heartbeat sound freaked her out. No idea why. She was hiding in the closet. Oh my goodness. Ah, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize it made a sound because when I was playing around with all this stuff, uh, I do it without going live. and I just it doesn't always make a sound because sometimes I have it all muted so it doesn't make noises and drive me up a wall. Don't forget, next Sunday we'll be back. Tuesday we'll be here. The Tuesday, so coming up this coming Tuesday, Shinner and I will be here. And then I believe the following Tuesday we will be here. And the Tuesday after that, we will not be here. So Tuesday, April the 1st, we will be in Elkhart, Indiana, hanging out with Chris and Miriam, Joe and Rachel. We'll be hanging out with Amy and all of you wonderful people who show up. I'm sure that Evelyn and Carl will be there. Cindy says she's too lazy to drive there, so she won't be there. And you know, that kind of stuff. I'm sure that Stacy and Ken will be there. My favorites, peoples. Yes. Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. So Reese is asking if I've already discussed. Well, I haven't really discussed the consistency aspect of it. I did a little bit, but I find that the more consistent I am with triple B&E, the better I feel in the long run, the long term. It just helps me all around. So just navigating daily life and the normal things that happen in life where I want to do things with the family or whatever, birthdays, family get-togethers, those type of things. So if I can make sure that the majority of my life and the majority of my days is filled with triple B&E, I'm going to be so much better off. I need to cook a bunch of bacon today. I've been saying that, and I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Probably need to cook like 6 to 8 pounds a day. So we'll see how much grease I end up with. I may be bringing grease to the meetup next week if anybody wants any. I mean, I'll try to see if I have a way to do it, but yeah. I still have a job, but I've been unavailable, but they haven't called me as much as they have been, so I'm not sure what's going on. There's no real communication. I'm still looking for other work, so wish me luck. Okay. So Evelyn said the sound of your special effects is really loud. So hopefully I can tweak those. I don't know if I have a volume control in there anywhere. I probably look offline and see if I can figure that out. But it would be nice if I could make sure that that's not so loud. I got to go in and see how I can do that and see if I can and if I can do the layers of that in there somehow. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. If there's a volume setting in here anywhere. I can do it without sound. I'm gonna turn the sound off. So let's try this without sound. There we go. No sound is better, I believe. What do you guys think? No sound better? I think it's better. She's fine. Not letting me out of her sight. The other sound, none of the other sounds bothered her. Okay. Thank you. You guys got to let me know that because I have no idea how loud it comes across to you guys. It doesn't seem that loud to me. And he will be there too. Do 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 do. Sean said, I thought the fireworks were gunshots outside, a fairly normal thing out in the country. This early? That's pretty crazy. Fingers crossed. Risa is going to smoke a corned beef today. Looking forward to trying that. Cindy says, too many toys, Dustin. You know what? You could do with more. No sound is great. I like that better. All right. I'm just trying to give you guys the best show possible. You guys show up here on Sundays. It's my obligation to try to make sure each one is better. Try to make it better, better, better. Your feedback makes it so much better. It makes me my job a lot easier. You know that? Sound is okay as long as I don't start returning fire. Yeah, that'd be bad. Oh, get low, get low, get low. Mm. Oh my goodness. So what do you guys got planned for this week? Anything? Anything good going on this week? Like Shannon and I, we've got the comedy club on Wednesday, which we normally would have the pookster. We normally have the granddaughter because we've been doing her like a late day that we hang out with her later. We have to do a sleepover, but we're coming up into spring break the last week of this month, the first week of April. We're gonna have spring break. Just we're gonna have her all day, every day, and some sleepovers. So we're gonna be a little more. So it's not gonna be such a bad thing to not have her that day. So, oh my goodness. Cindy said, same old here. Two live streams, 3 days of bowling. Neely is Friday. Looking forward to Neely. She's quit keto, but I haven't watched her videos about it. So I see the videos and I'm like, I don't have time to watch that right now. And I put it in my watch later list. And my watch later list is probably like two lifetimes worth of stuff. Just crazy. Sherry says, I have a ton of plans. It's called nothing because I'm broke. Our spring break starts Thursday. We have Thursday, Friday, and Monday off of school. That's it. That's it. We get 2 full weeks, but we also have a balanced calendar. So we do the 2 weeks for fall break. So, like in October, 2 weeks in December, and then 2 weeks in March, April. Karen is asking, is anybody going to the Yuma, Tennessee meetup? I am not sure I've even heard of Yuma, Tennessee. Chris, do you know how far Yuma is? I'm gonna look it up because I have no idea. Oh, that's a 5.5 hour drive. So not that bad, I guess. 386 miles. I don't, is this meetup on low carb events? Let me take a look. There's a carb sober cruise with carnivore doctor, well formed women win. There's Arizona low carb. There's the Elkhart meetup that says April. Okay, April 25. Okay, that's April 1st. Central Florida Keto Spring Meetup, Meat Stock 2025, Low Carb Cruise, Safe Harbor Live. That is Andy's live on Saturday, June 28th. I will be in attendance. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So Chris says that it's an hour and a half from him. How is that? Because it shows me it's only from Indianapolis to Yuma is only 5.5 hours. That's a half hour more to me. I don't know. That's by car. Hmm. It's the Healing Humanity fundraiser. Let me look that up. Sunday, April 13th. Why is this not on lowcarbevents.com? That doesn't even make any sense. Maybe it is and I'm missing it. But no, because we got into May, I didn't see it. Healing Humanity. Mark your calendar. So Adam Lacey, Carrie Mann, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Barry. What to expect? VIP ticket, that's I don't know. Standard ticket's $80. VIP ticket is $225. And they're sold out. Standard ticket grants admission to events and 60 available carnivore dinner included. Okay. All right. That's just one of those things. That's a lot of money. Be on the lookout though. I think that Chris is talking about doing a meetup sometime in 2025 down in his area somewhere, some way. I have no idea when, where, but I know that he's thinking about it. I'm thinking about doing a meetup up in Wisconsin. I'm trying to hit places I know that does like I know Wisconsin doesn't have a lot of meetups. The Chicago area doesn't get a lot of meetups. Maybe we get some Chicago folks out to Wisconsin. I don't know. Maybe I don't know how I don't know if Missouri gets a lot of meetups. I don't know. Maybe we could try to work something out there. It's like a 4 hour drive for me. I'd like to get some stuff going on. I like to help people, you know. All right. So it's out at Loretta's Ranch. You got to drive through the city. See, after all the rain, the fishermen should be out gathering all the worms. In the streets, 8,000 steps. All right. Chris says, Brian, not sure. Probably not with the price. Working on it, more to come. And depending on how the details fall, I will probably be down there for any kind of meetup that Chris does because I want to support my friend and you know, an excuse to hang out with a dog. Yeah, like I said, I'm working on the possibility of a Wisconsin meetup. I have family up there. Steve from Serious Keto is up there. Maybe if I had a way to get in touch with the Keto twins, they live in Chicago, which is not far from Wisconsin. Maybe they might be interested in coming out, trying to do something cool. I don't know for sure. I'd like to do something cool. It's just a matter of logistics, timing, and who's interested. I mean, what are your names again? No. So it's all about the dog. We know we're second rate. No, you guys are great. But I mean, Mel's Mel, you know what I mean? You can't compete with the pupper dog. We have a new cat, by the way. We even inherited a cat because our granddaughter has her own cat. And this cat is not getting along with the other animals where she's currently living. So now we have this cat. And hopefully she gets along with our cats. But what am I to do if this cat doesn't get along with our cats? Because I can't give her cat away. I'm not giving her cat away. I would just make our cats outdoor cats. So this cat can have a nice place to stay. I can't bear to her not have her own cat. The cat's name is Lil Baby. She named her Lil Baby. She's a cute little kitten. So, you know. Oh, that's the things going on in our house these days. Let's see. You know, I didn't want a cat, then I have another cat, and then it's like, yeah. So now we have three cats again. You know how it goes. But I get to make sure that our girl is happy. So I was telling Ash this the other day. I sent Ash a message because I know she's a huge skee ball fan like myself. So we went and we took the girl 2 weeks in a row to this place called Kids Planet, and it's like a indoor playground kind of thing. But they do have some games, and they have skee ball, and they do a thing. Was like it's supposed to be timed. You're supposed to only be there for 90 minutes. But usually during the week, they're not busy enough to really enforce the 90 minutes. You just get there and you get there and you can stay till they close because they don't really care. If they were busy and at capacity and there were people waiting, then they would be more inclined to, okay, your 90 minutes are up. You got to get out of here. So we get there, we playing, and I go and I get they have a couple different types of cards. You can buy like the game cards that are point based, so you can play so many points, and each game has a point value, or you can buy a timed card base. So the first time we went, I got a 30-minute card, and I played skee ball and tried to play a couple other games, but I only got 650 tickets in 30 minutes. But I wasn't focused on skee ball like I should have been. This last time I went, I spent 30 minutes playing nothing but skee ball, tried to fit as many games as I could while being as proficient as I could, and got over 1,200 tickets. Shander did the same thing. I got her a $10 30-minute ticket or card, and she got over 700 tickets. So between what we got the last time and this time, we had 2,804 tickets. So the most expensive thing I think they had was 2,500 tickets. So what we did is, so the second time we went, we took the girl's cousin. So the two of them went and they played and they fought and they played and they fought and they played. And so basically what we did is we split it down the middle of 2,800 tickets. So they each had 1,400 tickets to spend. They each got some pom poms and a little baton thing. They got a thing of cotton candy. They got some slime. They got some bouncy ball things. They got some little bracelets. So they all walked out with an arm full of stuff, all because Paul was sweating it up playing skee ball. Sherry loves skee ball. I have it on my phone. Not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Sherry says I wouldn't have cats if I made them outdoors. Well, we have coyotes to a degree, but because there's been so many warehouses coming in and being put in nearby, I mean, which is kind of nice because one of the warehouses that's been built, they're putting in a place called Slick City, and it's basically a giant warehouse full of slides. Like they look from the photos, they look like water slides without the water. So like if you go to like a giant water park, these slides look like that, and it looks pretty cool. It's going to be kind of expensive, so she won't get to go very often. But yeah, it's real close by, and the kids planet isn't that far from us either, but it's a little smaller. They have like an upstairs. They can do birthday parties and all that stuff. They have pizza, like, and hot dogs and all that stuff. You know how it goes, right? Party stuff. Is it the healthiest? No. But it's a party. Have a good time. Some cake. You know what I mean? Uh, you know, Risa said, I had cats for years. I am more of a dog person. I did not enjoy them as much. I like cats because they're not so needy. Unless I'm cooking in the kitchen, then they're like under my feet. But they do try to trip me all the time. I think they want me to die so they can eat me. But. And Risa said, I haven't played skee ball in years. Used to live in the Coney Island area in Brooklyn and would have to go to the boardwalk and play it every weekend. I loved it. Oh, that's like we were in Colorado. We were in Manitou Springs, and they have a penny arcade, and like you go in, and they have different kinds of games, and they had a whole row of old skee ball machines, like so old they were like real bumpy, so you couldn't be real accurate with it. But it's fun. It's fun because Shannon and I get very competitive when it comes to skee ball. Looks awesome. Barbara said, "I love skee ball, but I'm terrible at it." Oh my goodness. Well, like they had the old wooden balls, but they just the new plastic ones, I feel they're a little more controllable because like they don't swell and shrink and they don't get all dented. So like, yeah, yeah. I remember working. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese when I was in high school, and I had to deal with the wooden balls. And I think then we finally moved over from the wooden balls into the orange heavy plastic ones. Trying to remember if that was something maybe that happened after I left. But anyway, I was like the guy that fixed the game. So like if like we had a game, we had that stand up Ninja Turtle game, like the side scrolling Ninja Turtle game where you'd fight, you could be all four characters, but those would come unsoldered all the time. So I had to open it up and resolder. So I taught myself how to solder doing that job. That you had to dig tickets out and coins would break and people wouldn't there was a game that people didn't like. There was a game I remember I went and emptied out the coins out of it, and it was so full, they were coming out of the top, like, where you put the coin and be like, "Not working." I go and open, I'm like, I needed buckets and buckets to all the coins that were in that. It was craziness. Evelyn says, "I was a very tall teenager. I remember playing skee ball till my back hurt. We had a place called Celebration Station with the animatronic characters." I don't think any place has the animatronic characters anymore. I think even like Chuck E. Cheese has moved to a video screen, which is makes more sense because then it's easier to make the content that goes along with it. And then the upkeep of the animatronics and the clothes don't fall off of the screen. Like we had you just see that's just the robotic unders. It's pretty funny. But yeah. And like it was weird because when I worked there was in the 90s, so everything was ran off these VHS tapes. So you'd have to go in sometimes and restart the tape. It would usually re-loop itself or whatever, but sometimes you have to go in and do like a hard reboot of the system. But it was just all ran off of VHS tapes. So the VHS tapes had all the coding for what played on the screens, the music that played, and the movements of the animatronics. Risa says, anybody makes making any keto treats for St. Patty's? I'm gonna make keto chow fudge with chocolate, mint, and sprinkles. That sounds good. I don't even think about holidays really anymore, especially not really like the ones like St. Patrick's Day, because St. Patrick's Day was always like, we're going out drinking. Like we would go out drinking. Like it was like sport drinking, really. But we don't do that anymore. Sherry says, I live in a community, but still very open desert. Coyotes and bobcats used to jump my fence to drink water out of my baby pool. I have houses around me now, so they don't come anymore, but I hear them. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think like one of the biggest things that in my area we have to worry about is because we're very close. We're very, very close to Eagle Creek Park, and there are bald eagles in Eagle Creek Park. Bald eagles are big enough to fly off with your cat or small dog because people don't realize how big bald eagles are. They are ginormous predator, scary animals. They are giant. They are huge. But it's about time to wrap this up. I want to know, what do you think about the new color scheme, the layout, the logo that I've made? How do you like it? My apologies that the countdown didn't do what I wanted it to do. I am apologizing for that. But the ending credits will be here. I know what I'm doing, sort of. But this is only the second live stream that I've done with this program, and you will see the third, fourth, and then the fifth will be next Sunday. I believe it is next Sunday. Next Sunday, the 23rd, will be Keto Crusade with my good friend Victor and acquaintance Chris. I'm just kidding. Chris and Victor, great people. Love them to all the way to everywhere, but we will be doing that together. Yes. So let us know what you think of it. Let me know what you think of everything. I'm always working on this stuff because I want to make your viewing experience the best I can, because I want to look as professional as I can. I've been doing this long enough. It should look better over time. So, with that, truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all for your super chats, your comments, spending all your morning with me. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I love your faces, and we'll see you soon.